Hi, everybody again. I'm Dustin Perry, and I'm here with Gayle Febbo, our VPX, and we're here to give you another in-depth explanation of our results from our current news release, which is from the southern part of the cloud drifter trend. There's three showings, the standard, the waterfall, and the essential. And within this news release, there was 33 rock samples with a highlight of 82 grams per ton, and another highlight of a backpack drill hole of 10.84 grams per ton over 6.9 meters. Gayle, what are you excited about in this news release?
Yeah, I just want to share some more about the context that we see in the southern area and just the different mineralization style in that zone. And yeah, just talk more about the backpack drill results and the type of structural setting that we're getting those kind of grades in. I think is pretty interesting.
Yeah, I think one thing also about this news release is that although these targets aren't the same scale and size as what we see at the cloud drifter trend, because they're on essentially on a cliff face, we get good exposure, and we would expect to see these styles of more fold hinge related mineralization within the cloud drifter trend in that soil anomaly in areas where we don't have outcrop right now.
Yeah, these zones project towards the cloud drifter zone, and so there's something we would anticipate in the cloud drifter. So it's a really nice preview kind of for a type of mineralization style that we haven't seen yet at cloud drifter.
All right, well, without further ado, let's get into this. I encourage you to look at our website to view this disclaimer information. We are geos, and we will be making forward-looking statements in this presentation. So last time we didn't get into this context as much as our first video, but I think it would be a good opportunity to do that again. So what we're looking for at Goldrange is an orogenic gold system, or several of them. We believe we have a district scale project that has the potential to form multiple of these styles of deposits. Within Western North America, Cretaceous age orogenic gold is what you're looking for. Good examples include the Donlin Gold System in Alaska, the Pogo System, which is part of the Goodpaster District, the Dawson Gold Belt, which hosts coffee and white gold. And then in BC, the Barkerville District, which has been revitalized with the Cisco development. And within the Yalacombe Gold Belt, the Talisker Resources, with the backing of a Cisco, is exploring the Braylorn project, which produced 4.2 million ounces at 17.7 grams per ton. We're quite a ways away along strike, but in the same regional fault network. And where we are located happens to be a really anomalous geochemical location. I'll let Gayle give a bit more detail on exactly what's happening in this fault network, though.
Yeah, so this trend here in blue, this is the Yalacombe Gold Belt, and it's a Cretaceous age dextral strike slip fault corridor. And this is where you get Braylorn, and all of the systems kind of in that area in the Bridge River district. And then Goldrange property is in the northwestern extent of that trend. Much underexplored in that area, whereas you get closer access to roads and infrastructure in the southeast, and so it's seen a lot more.
And yeah, as I said, there's a big geochemical regional anomaly here at Goldrange. So this is historic information here. You can see a lot of really anomalous drainages for gold across the project area, but then also a lot of areas that haven't seen any sampling. So a lot of blue sky potential in the project area. This is what brought us to this project in the first place, got us really interested in it. But the cloud drifter trend was really what got us interested, and that's where all our results have come from today. So in this presentation, we're going to be talking about some new samples that we that are adding to that inventory. The current inventory from Kingfisher sampling at the cloud drifter trend now comes to 312 samples, averaging over 6 grams per ton gold. So really impressive. I still have yet to see anything like that in my career until now. And we did put a nice backpack drill into the standard zone of 10.84 grams per ton over 6.9 meters. You can see the crew giving the drone a thumbs up there. There they are doing their work. And yeah, great results here. So this is what it looks like where these results come from in the box at the bottom of this image here. You can see all the other results that we previously released, which are muted more transparent colors to the north of this box. But within this box, there was 33 rock samples, average grade of 11.64 grams per ton with a peak value of 82 grams. You can also see down to the east of it, there are soil anomalies draining this area that likely indicate something being there. I don't think the erosion would actually accommodate that in that area. So there's likely more systems over there, or potential for more systems over there. But this area had some really good grade. Waterfall and Essential were new discoveries this year. Standard had been worked in the past, but we went and outdid their historic sampling results and put an actual backpack drill hole into it, which is real drill core. Gayle's going to touch on the geology here.
Yeah, so this is the geology map that we showed in the previous presentations. Cloud Drifter Zone in the center there, Langara Zone in the east. And these are the areas we're going to be talking about in the south: Waterfall, Essential, and Standard. And these are separated by a fair bit of talus to the north there. So 250 meters to 500 meters of talus cover between these zones and then the Cloud Drifter. But what we really like here is that they're on trend with the Cloud Drifter Zone.
Yeah, they are, and they do point to what we might find in certain areas within that soil anomaly in the forest once we actually start drilling it this summer. So yeah. This is, sorry, go on.
Sorry. So, you know, we also see those structural trends popping up in the LiDAR, just some hints that those structures rip right through the Cloud Drifter. So that's also really encouraging.
Yeah, I guess on that note too, a lot of these north-south trending structures, which is more what we're seeing here, actually host some of the best grade in this area. Like that approximately 129 gram sample was on a north-south structural trend as well.
Yeah, that's right.
So the Waterfall, Essential, and Standard zones, this is them in more detail. Standard was discovered in around 1911 and first worked in the 1930s. There was an adit driven in there, and there's actually a lot of evidence of the people being there. So this cabin you can see here in this image, this is actually closer to the north end of the Cloud Drifter trend where we were camped last summer. But there's a trail, an old mule or donkey trail leading from it up to the Standard area, which has switchbacks going through the talus slopes. And actually you can see over from there, you can see over at Langara, similar switchbacks. There's some other little artifacts, like there's this adit that goes in there. There's some just evidence, little goat trails that prospectors made to get up the slopes. There's some old, there's a large tin of jam from way back in the day that had a Vancouver brand on it. So it's pretty cool to see all this evidence of people being there. But Waterfall and Essential had no documented sampling. If you go through the min files, there was no history of sampling there. So we believe we're the first people to have sampled it. And this was done in 2 days, I believe. So Essential was a 1-day thing, and Waterfall was another day. So pretty good results for a short amount of time. And it really just does highlight the potential of this project where it's just pretty easy to find gold mineralization.
Yeah. Okay, here we have the geology map of these southern zones with Standard on the east or the right side, Essential in the center, and Waterfall to the west. And what's important here is that each of these zones have a similar structural setting, and they're focused right along these folded corridors. You can see those symbols here on the map with the arrows. And where the mineralization sits in low angle veins in that fold hinge area. And then we get also some really nice breccia, like sulfide cement breccia in the hinge area. And that's more the style we're after, is that good replacement mineralization. And as we mentioned, these fold trends project right towards the Cloud Drifter zone. And there's quite a significant cover of talus to the north. And this line to the south marks the limit of mapping, which is really all we could access. So the southern area is a cliff. And so we weren't able to sample or characterize kind of the southern extent of those alteration trends.
Yeah, on that note, though, there are stream sediment sampling anomalies and soil anomalies out of this image down to the lower right of it. So these systems very likely project further to the south.
Okay, this photo here in the next slide is this zone on the right, the standard zone. So this is the only one that had been discovered in the past, and you can see the adit there on the kind of lower center photo. So there were some workings, and you can see the veins here in red. So the standard zone, what we managed to figure out with the mapping is that it coincides with an anticline, syncline, folded pair. And that's defined by a secondary fracture cleavage that's infilled by the veins. And the same structural style at Essential and Waterfall, as I mentioned. And so the mineralization is focused in the hinge area. And then we also see some nice breccia along that. And that photo in the lower right there, for example, is just massive sulfide replacements. That's mostly arsenopyrite there. So the backpack drill hole is in the center, and you can see it's just drilled down vertical. And the strategy there is just to cross cut those low angle veins. And so what it really did is tested the hinge there. One of the highlight grabs got 82.1 grams per ton gold as well in the kind of upper photo. And all the results are here if you want to have a closer look, and the widths as well on those sampled drills.
Yeah, and I'll touch a couple things on that. One, the drill hole, we don't know the true width of this. Like we did drill down a fold hinge, but we were also drilling perpendicular to the veins. So nothing goofy there, but full disclosure, we do not know the true thickness of this. One thing also to look at in this image here of the replaced arsenopyrite vein on the bottom right there is you can just see the amount of fracturing in it, which is a common theme we're seeing across the cloud drifter trend. Long-lived tectonic activity in the area, which is likely why there's so much gold mineralization around there. Just consistent fracturing and more opportunities for gold to be deposited along these fractures.
Yeah, this is a good place to mention actually that the brecciation we see in the fold hinge likely reflects that these are rooted in a structure, a depth. So this might be kind of the uppermost extent of that. And we won't really know that until, we drill and better understand these structures.
Yeah, exactly. So you can see our team here doing this backpack drill hole. It was a little challenging getting in there. Luckily, Gayle's an expert rock climber. Weren't you, when we got out of the field, didn't you go climb the chief with about 6 months pregnant or something like that? Climb the Squamish Chief. 5 months pregnant, you climbed the Squamish Chief in Squamish right after we were in the bush. But anyways, she set up this anchor for us so we could safely get up there with harnesses. And I know I lugged most of those things of water up there, which was pretty backbreaking work. But we got a good drill hole out of it and got a lot of nice samples. And yeah, it was good. So that's what it looked like from the drone. And then this is what the drill core actually looks like. You can see there's a lot of arsenopyrite in it. There's quartz, there's brecciated textures, but there's also little veins cross-cutting it. A lot of fluid flow. It's a good looking rock, good grades. And we really hope we can start drilling into the bodies of ore like this throughout that main cloud drifter trend where we might get some more bulk to them.
Yeah, one of the real challenges with the mapping is that everything's so oxidized. So you can pick out the veins, but a lot of times on the surface, you just get the impression that it's just discrete veins. So when this came out and, we could see, wow, it's just complete replacement. It's really nice to see that because that doesn't always come across on the surface.
Yeah, indeed.
Yeah.
And the grades, they're just really good grades. So pretty happy with that. So the next zone, moving to the west, the Essential Zone, this was discovered, we went to Standard, spent a day there, got the guys going on the backpack drill. And then I think Dave Loretto and I started prospecting. Gayle was working behind us mapping. We went up, and before the Essential, we actually found the 6.3 and 4.1 gram sample in that little inset image. We hiked up that slope, then worked our way down to this area, just following float mineralization, just standard prospecting. We arrived there, started finding mineralization. I know Dave went back down to grab his backpack and found probably the best fossil I've ever seen in the field. I was pretty jealous and pissed off as I was on this face taking all these samples, and Dave had this beautiful fossil. But no, the mineralization here made up for it. Nice mineralization up to 17 grams per ton in a new showing. You can see the breccia on the bottom right there. That's a pretty beautiful style of mineralization, very similar to what we're seeing at standard. This is also truncated or limited. I wouldn't say truncated, but is limited by talus cover, cliffs above it, and just where we could sample. The next zone was discovered by Gayle and our senior geo, Paul Stewart, and I'll let her get into it here.
Yeah, this was a fantastic day. we just were systematically prospecting and mapping along the cliff, just really to get the context of the periphery to the cloud drifter zone. And this was about an afternoon's work. You know, I think we found this after lunch and just got really busy and did as much as we could. And yeah, it came together really nice. And again, same structural setting, right? This little anticline syncline set, a little bit of breccia replacement style in the hinge. So a really nice pattern here. And this projects undercover, under the talus cover, right into the cloud drifter zone. And so, you know, we can model these structures as they go in. Yeah, what are some highlights here? So here's the nice breccia texture, the photo in the lower right. And one of the highlight samples was 63.9 grams per ton gold. So for a zone that, you know, has never been sampled, we were super impressed with that.
Yeah, indeed. And I will point back to that photo there. This is a very detailed macro photo, the bottom right there. But you can really see just that fractured texture within the arsenopyrite there. It's the silvery mineral in the middle. It's a consistent theme here, just a great location to be putting gold in a highly fractured environment with just continuous seismic activity, creating these broken zones where gold deposits. So I guess that's yeah, sorry, Gayle.
Yeah, like even in the thin sections of what appear to be just discrete veins, when you get them under the microscope, you know, everything's just fractured and there's multiple events there. So, you know, all of these veins are still experiencing brittle deformation throughout their emplacement history. So it's, yeah, really good environment.
Yeah, so I guess we've now released all of our results from the cloud drifter trend that we took last summer. We are planning our drill program, and we're going to be in the field pretty quickly here in early May. One thing to keep in mind is we don't intend to drill these three showings here. They have great grades, but the size of what we're seeing there is not big enough for what we're actually after. What we're after is where these project into the cloud drifter trend, where you get more background mineralization as well and less discrete mineralization. But what these do provide is a clue into what we might find within that cloud drifter trend on a much larger scale. That's what we're after. We're looking for a big ore deposit here, so we got to test big ideas, and I think we've got a really good leg right now going into this first drill program at Cloud Drifter, and we're really excited.
Yes, absolutely.
All right, until next time, thank you.